Hi, Sudeep. Good evening. You are in US, so yeah, I think good evening will work for you.
Yeah, hi. Good morning to you, Amit, and thanks for giving me this opportunity. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thanks for agreeing to do this in a little odd hours. I understand, but I think this is something which I was looking for past 2 weeks. I've been doing this podcast quite often these days, and with different kind of professionals, primarily focusing on data engineering domain as it continues to be the most value adding, most impactful domain in tech today. Um,
Yep.
because I myself have spent more than 18 years in the industry by now, and I've seen the
Mm-hmm.
evolution of analytics from based on plain Excel sheets to databases to data lakes, cloud,
Mm-hmm.
Databricks,
Lake
what
house. Lake
lakehouse.
house.
I mean,
Yeah.
now it gets so confusing that I don't know what what to be called what. But it is equally exciting to see that how this domain is growing, and now with AI coming in, we are yet to see that how this domain gets disrupted across industries. So, first of all, a very warm welcome to my podcast, Sudeep. I'm looking forward to a very interesting conversation with you.
Sure. Thank you so much for inviting me. Yeah, I really appreciate.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Sudeep, I think the first thing what I would like to do is that to kind of dig into a bit of your career profile, career history. I see that you are an MBA, and I think somebody like me who has been a techie and an MBA both, we share very interesting profile in the tech industry. We come in a unique position where we are expected to know the tech and we are expected to know the business too. So that
Correct.
being put in a position where we need to be talking to customers and we need to
Mm-hmm.
understand their problem statements. We are required to understand the domain, the business domain, a lot more deeply. So
Mm-hmm.
the expectations from a techie who is an MBA, it actually changes a lot, and there is a lot is expected from them. So I would like to know a bit about. I would like you to take me down a bit of your memory lane of your career and how did you evolve to what you are today?
Sure, definitely, definitely, yeah. So yeah, I'll just start with a quick intro, how my journey started, how I did my MBA, and then from my career started, and how these things, and now 10 year, right? So yeah, so being expertise with 10 year of expertise in this industry, right? I did my master's MBA from IMT Ghaziabad, right? That is both in finance and IT. And I just got opportunity to work in Bangalore for a few months. That was a startup, and that's why my things got changed over there. I got to work on on-prem RDBMS sources, and from there migrating the data and other flat file sources into the data warehouse in Oracle at that time.
Yeah.
And we got a chance to work on Informatica Power Center. That was a major ETL tool during that time. So I
Yes.
started my career as a ETL developer,
Hmm.
Informatica developer, right? So those things started. Then came back to Delhi. Delhi is my hometown,
Hmm.
and so there I joined NIT Technologies and all those. Now it's Coforge. I got a good exposure over there, right?
Correct.
And like three years of experience over there. So at that time, we were into the phase of data warehousing,
Yeah.
maintaining the data warehouse on Oracle or SQL Server, right? Whatnot.
Yeah.
And then having worked into that, solving the problem for insurance domain that was a very good client into the insurance. Understanding the domain was difficult at that time, but fortunately we got some training. So having a good understanding of domain that was very beneficial over there as well.
Right.
And later in 2021, I got a chance to work on cloud tools when
Hmm.
I moved to current company
Hmm.
4 years back.
Right.
And there I got a chance to work on Databricks, ADF, ETL, these Data Factory, right? ADLS, Snowflake, cloud platforms, right? I got to work on all these major tools in the same project. So that was really a good exposure that I was looking for at that time. And fortunately, I got the chance. And that really made the things, and I really learned that very fast. And I got a chance to lead the team. I become a team lead, then
Hmm.
managing the team of 6 to 8 people over there. And during that time, I we have that mindset that just ETL pipelines,
Yeah.
right? Just building the code, right? Need to just understand the UI, build the code, write the code, Python, Spark, whatever, right? SQL. And we don't have idea that why we are doing it, right? That why was not clear, right? I got a chance to deal with stay in the call of client where the business analyst, right, who was a SME of that CPG domain, and that was a CPG project, and understood that what exactly the problem is, right?
Hmm.
So that picture, that bigger picture was not clear when we were a data engineer at that level, right? Or senior
Right.
data engineer, right? But when we become tech lead, when we become little senior, we need to analyze that problem. We need to understand what is the why behind it,
Hmm.
right? What exactly the data we are providing and how exactly will be used in upstream, right?
Right.
We are
Right.
fetching from multiple sources and then how being utilized, what exactly the decisions are being made based on the
Right.
data.
Right.
So good to know about that in that CPG domain client, and that was really good experience.
Right.
Understanding how they're building some command center, making the decision. Data is coming from multiple sources, internal, external, and that's why I got exposure to CPG domain as well. And yeah, that was my journey so far. And in March, I got a chance to work on site. So here I got to learn from one of the more interesting domain, which is supply chain.
Hmm.
So I really got a chance to went to a factory exactly where
Oh.
the things are manufacturing. I become a data architect, like being a data architect in that project. So I got to learn where exactly the data is being captured,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm. Hmm.
The main sources of the data, right? I got to
Hmm.
learn about the process flow and everything. And that really helped me to understand the domain as well.
Hmm. Right.
So
Right.
that
Yeah.
was a very good exposure for me. And during this journey, I think last 1.5 year also, I'm taking some. I have taken a role of mentor as well,
Oh.
guiding the aspiring data engineers and professional. So both hands-on industry work and the mentorship is really shaping my journey, and I'm really excited for the future of data engineering.
Very interesting. I see that the most interesting part of your journey has been that it's not been restricted to a single business vertical, like either which is good thing. Like I've seen people
Yep.
who have spent lots and lots of time in a single domain and they become deep industry experts. But
Yeah.
I mean, personally, for me, if I reflect on my career journey before. I
Mhm.
worked across many different domains. I worked in a supply chain management project. I
Mm.
worked in an
Mm.
insurance project back in the days when I was a part of analytics. And I also switched companies. I worked in agri-tech at a point of time. And
Mhm.
today I'm running my own education skilling firm.
Yeah. Yeah.
But one thing what remains constant is that whichever vertical you choose, whichever business problem you choose, there is a use case which needs to be solved, and
Correct.
for a business in the end, it's that how do you help that business either increase their revenues or you bring down their
Decrease the
costs,
cost.
right? It all comes
Yeah.
down to this because initially, as I said, that when we start our careers as techies, especially in India, we feel very high about our job. That okay, no, we are developers and we need to build some cool tech,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
with whatever language or tech and some cool tech you would know. And most of the data engineers, they start with their careers with some sort of an ETL kind of a role, right?
Correct.
And they would get say a requirement that okay, hey, this data coming from the system, maybe say data coming from Oracle or SAP, or hey, data is kind of coming through say file servers, and you need to take this, process it, and you need to clean it and produce in this form
Yeah.
and put it into some destination. That's it. I mean, nobody gets to tell that, okay, what is this for? What's the broader picture? Who
Yeah.
is going to use it? Why it is going to be used? Why am I so important or not so important? So that's something I believe is not everybody would tell you. I mean, one definitely is that the curiosity of knowing, of trying to know that, okay, why am I doing this? I mean, a simple
Yeah.
question, right?
Correct.
And
Correct.
and the second thing is that how do you, I mean, this is something which I ask everybody that how do you traverse this journey from a techie, which
Mm.
we get comfortable in the early stages of our career that, okay, I'm a techie, I don't do anything else. But then as
Mm.
you start becoming experienced, and especially when you start leading teams and when you are put in a position where you have to talk to the customer, how do you
Right.
how do you gain those domain skills which in a normal setup, somebody who spent say 20-30 years, if you talk to your customers, they are really the domain people who have spent 20-30 years. How do you
Yep.
get to talk to them? I mean, how do you kind of skill yourself up in the domain skills to get the confidence to talk to your customers?
I think, yes, you're right. I totally agree that initial years of experience, we don't need to worry, and nobody take care what exactly the upstream things are going, how,
Yeah.
who are using, and what is the use case of this data that we are preparing, right? But as we get more experience, as we get exposure to talk with the client, right?
Hmm.
We need to have those skills. We need to have those knowledge before facing the client,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? Either you do an internal training by the company or you do research by yourself or get the idea from the internal SME of that particular domain, right? You have to have the knowledge, you have to have an idea, and this thing for me actually, this thing started when I connect with the SME, right? In one of the CPG domain, right? Internally, I get some exposure. What is the meaning of this term,
Hmm.
right? The command center, what is this? What is revenue growth management?
Right.
So, right, what is RGM? What is this health and welfare domain? What does that mean,
Yeah.
right? What is this supply chain? I don't
Yeah.
know. I was not aware. Even
Exactly.
before moving to this project, right? In the last project only, what is supply chain? I thought like supply chain. I don't know what. But
Hmm.
when I deep dive into, right? When I deep dive, I got a chance to visit the factories, right?
Yeah.
I understood the process. I connected internally, built the flow. Oh yeah, this is the thing. Things are
Hmm.
actually implementing over here, right? We are doing analytics. We are providing data for there to do the analytics work, right? And this is what they are doing. This is the process flow, and this is the data we are using, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So there is a process flow for each and everything which is happening
Hmm.
in the business,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And that is where the source of our data,
Hmm.
right? If in the logistic, right? Or let's say if in the factory, right, the things are manufactured, right? So a work order is released, right? That this is particularly the requirement, right? Product order, that purchase order is created, right? We need to purchase something, right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
to the end of building a final product, right?
Hmm.
There is a process flow. That's the
Right.
sources of our data, right?
Right.
So we need to understand that. So internally connect with internal SME, grab some internet resources, right? And understand some domain before reaching out to the client. And eventually, because these things are, you will understand at once.
Mm.
It's not possible that you will understand. You
Yeah,
go through, okay, 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 yeah, I understood. But next week you'll forget until you implement those things and until you implement in your daily routine while talking with the client.
right, right.
That's how you will evolve.
I know. I mean, this is a typical case of learning in the flow of work that I mean,
Correct.
no amount of say training would give you that real world sense of being there in the heat of that situation and talking
Agree.
to those people who are actually going to end up using your solutions, whatever you build. Because in the
Hmm.
end, I believe that at this is the point where you know that okay, you have the tech. It's like you have the solution, but what is the problem? You're kind of discovering the problem here and trying to see that, okay, how the tech is going to solve this problem so that it achieves the end business goal, right? So yeah, so I would like to deep dive a little bit on the
Mhm.
kind of
Mhm.
industry problems, some interesting industry problems
Mhm.
you would like to throw light upon. I mean, in your career, you worked on insurance domain, CPGs, and supply chain
Yeah,
management.
yeah.
And this
Hmm.
is more for people, especially for the techies who, when they hear out about people talking about tech, most of the times I see people talking a lot about just the technology aspect of it. Okay, streaming jobs, and then maybe eat batch jobs, and maybe
Hmm.
auto loaders. I'm just talking some Databricks terms,
Yeah, yeah.
which are great, but
Yeah.
everything starts from that problem. So if you could quote a bit of business problems and try to relate to how starting from the business problem, getting to the processes, understanding the gaps, and then how it led to the discovery that okay, these could be the right tools, and ultimately ending up to a sort of a data platform solution. So walk through if you
Hmm.
could give that could give a complete picture from business to
Hmm.
solution.
Got it. Got it. Definitely. So I would like to give you the latest one, latest project that I talked about, the supply chain. Okay. And so the problem exactly was that the client is facing a lot of hardware failures, a lot of anomalies in the assets, right? In the factory machines,
Hmm.
right? So they're manufacturing one cans, right? In there is a food for a pet, right? So manufacturing that, it's a complete plant, right? So
Yeah.
we don't know that when a particular machine is will get breakdown,
Hmm.
right? So if a single machine get breakdown, there is a process completely.
Yeah.
So the whatever food is there in the pipeline, it will get wasted if a
Hmm.
machine get. So everything, so labor, food, raw material, everything will get wasted. So that was a problem, right?
Hmm.
But what will happen? There is a maintenance as well for that, right? But that is all based on the estimation that, yeah, we need to maintain this particular asset on down weekends, and that is a schedule for this asset every 6 months, every 3 months, whatever, right? But and even they have the real-time sensors as well.
Hmm.
They have the data available coming from the sensors which are attached on the machine.
Hmm.
But that is not integrated with the single platform.
Okay.
Okay. So that exactly was the problem. And also, the maintenance of that machine, it is also not optimized. The schedule was not optimized. So there is two problem with the current customer. So we that was a problem, right? So now looking at this, right, to starting providing a solution, we must know for everything, right? We need to start the discovery.
Hmm.
We need to start with from top to bottom, right? Exactly, we need to understand what is a source, right? And we need to understand what is the volume of the data,
Hmm.
what is the veracity of the data, right? What is the variety of data, right?
Right.
These are the very basic questions understand about the source system, each source system, right? And then build a solution. So is it a real-time application we need to build
Hmm.
that will show the insights? Or it can be near real time, or it can be like every 2 hour, 3 hour, bad job, right? That totally depend on the requirement,
Right.
right? Let's suppose in the source system, the data is not that real time. You can't build that real time application for that source.
True.
So you need to have the symphony, and accordingly you should decide based on the requirement. So based on the data sources, based on the current architecture, right? Architecture requirement and the best practices with the client, we need to choose the tools, right? If they already have one cloud platform, right, we should select and go ahead with that and provide the best resources in that cloud platform, correct? So let's suppose I'm majorly into Azure, right? So if we are building a web application, right? So we need to, first of all, we need to have a storage,
Yeah.
right? To decide a storage, everyone knows, right? AWS is the best for in Azure,
Yeah.
correct? And what about processing? So processing, is it real time or batching? Based on that, we need to decide.
Right.
Databricks is best. Delta Lake implementation, right? Lakehouse. That can be done easily. And in that, we can definitely go for autoloader if the particular files are we need to fetch, right, from the source system. Or if it's already putting in some particular location, we need to fetch it easily. We can do that, right? And if it's a real time, definitely structure streaming can be done, right? On top of autoloader, and then we can take it forward. And scheduling, we have nowadays Databricks workflows, right? Jobs, we can schedule that.
Yeah.
And even if we don't need that scheduling, we can go for Azure Data Factory to schedule the notebooks and other stuff, sending email, notifications, alerts, error messaging, handling, and whatnot, right?
Right.
So that's how the structure Mendelian architecture we can implement. But it totally depend whatever you need to do, right? For batch, you can simply follow the Mendelian if it's a real time, and how what is the volume, you need to select the tool accordingly, right? If it's large volume, go for Kafka, right?
Hmm.
So based on that you decide, and also based on the requirement. So that's how the flow of deciding a solution should look like. I
Right.
hope that answers your question.
Yes, yes. But I've got some follow-up questions also here. That
Okay.
yeah, I mean, as you talk about the problem statement, and there are few things which will be very clear. For example, when you're and that also aligns to the domain. For example, when you talk about the domain being a supply chain management, and you are at a manufacturing plant, and when you try to gather the requirement, you get a feel that okay, since there are sensors involved, I may end up building, say, a real-time system, or
Mm-hmm.
the veracity, and the volume of data is going to be pretty high, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and when we think about ingesting, many times the customers may be in maybe they do not have any system at all, and many times the customer may be having some partial system in place. So although it looks pretty neat on paper that okay, I'll bring in Databricks and I'll ingest the data into an ADLS, and that's it, my
Yep.
storage is done. But I believe the real world scenarios are a lot harder than that, because it's not a learning or a toy project where you just ingest the data. Where there are a lot of things to be thought about when you're trying to
Correct.
ingest the data. I mean, from
Yep.
right from the point of what will be your choice of storage, which has to be cheap, which has to be scalable, and
Yep.
also how do you kind of from there, what is the say, you have to think about latency. I mean, you
Yep.
cannot
Yep.
take forever to process that data. What is the quality of
Obviously.
data? So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
if you could expand a bit on some of the challenges you might have faced, actually
Mm-hmm.
when you're trying to set up this entire system to kind of make it work in a clean way.
Got it, got it. So I would say we have different kind of ingestion methodology where we implemented. One was we were fetching data through API, and that was really huge data. We simply used Databricks to
Yeah.
implement that, and there is a API for that particular source system, which was sending the census data, and we were fetching that using it. And that was a few huge data, but we were not using real-time streaming for that because
Mm,
that was not supported for that source. So just simply use the API. And for other, the data was not that huge, but we just simply connected that with the data breaks. It was one of the system was Snowflake, another was having their own on-prem system. So
mm,
it's a kind of a mix,
yeah.
right? So I told you there was sensor data, but there is some operational data as well. There is some on-prem systems that was there in the factory, right? Which
Right.
is which is difficult to gather that.
Yeah.
So that difficulty is there. Definitely it will be there in the practically if you go for a real-time thing, right? Managing the data, finding the data, what finding and managing out of these 100 fields, what is the relevant field that I need to capture
Yeah. Yeah.
as per the requirement,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? That is a one complexity, right? And then managing and merging the data. So how
Mm,
you will merge the data? See, one is sensor data, another
yeah.
is SAP data,
Mm,
right? How you will merge that? It's a IT and OT data
mm,
problem.
yeah.
Combining IT and OT data, that's a major problem that we solved in this use case. And that was very good. And we did some mapping and we manually we did that and then we map it. But that was another problem that we faced and that we solved that. We did some data modeling and understand for each of the source and how we can map together and build IT OT data model. So that was the problem. Data modeling is a very good problem we solved here. That's a third problem. And I got a exposure over here, very good exposure to build the conceptual, logical, physical. The
Yeah.
exact problem was there, right?
Yeah.
Before that, I have heard about it. I have built some data warehouse, data mart, but not exactly from starting. So
Mm,
that was like the relational data model. That was a very good problem that we solved. So then combining it, filtering data, cleaning them all, right? So that was a major problems that we solved here. So usually Databricks only we used, and because data was coming very real, but we were
mm,
not fetching very real. It means we
right.
don't have that requirement in our case
Yeah.
to fetch the real time data, right? So
Yes.
totally based on the client requirement. So they told, hey, let's fetch every 2 hour,
Yeah.
3 hour. That's
Yeah.
fine. So we are set up all the schedule of the pipelines ingestion and then whatever model and application we build, right? So all those things were set up based on the requirement itself. Yeah.
Right. 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 You talked about data modeling right now, and
Yeah.
you mentioned how you got a chance to deep dive into data modeling, into the conceptual logical model. I see that a lot of experts, when they talk about data engineering, very few
Hmm.
talk about data modeling. And I remember when I started my career with Oracle, so with being a database company. Data modeling those days were stressed a lot upon. I mean, the relational data model and that get that
Dimension. Hmm.
expanding dimensional modeling, Snowflake schema, star schema, and all those.
Yeah. Yeah.
How hard it is on the floor to kind of read from business and kind of translate into those tables and relations which ultimately somebody gets to see, right? What some of the real world challenges you face and what are some of the dilemmas you face when you have to take a decision on that, okay, this attribute maybe, and he's talked about hundreds of attributes, right, where you may have to talk to 10 different people to kind of even get to a common agreement to the meaning of those attributes, right? So if you could throw a little bit of light, because I really want people to understand why data modeling sits at the heart of data engineering, and it is not just something which is passing
Right.
by.
Yeah, agree. No, that's totally correct. So, data modeling is, if we talk about relational data model, right? That is again depend that you just replicate the things from the source system, right? And then if there are multiple source system, you just map it and merge it and build the common relational data model, right? But when it comes to building the dimensional modeling, right? So like this that thing is like building the star or snowflake schema. It's totally depend on the requirements.
Yeah,
So earlier I have a thought like how these are built, how I decide that whether it should be the dimension and it should be the fact or not,
yeah,
right? But when I deep dive and when I got a chance to expose the get exposure of this, right, I was not aware about the flow, that how exactly the data modeling was done, right? But I just understood that hey, the process is always like bottom up, like from back to right to left, right?
hmm,
Right means the insights or
hmm,
the usage, right? Who are the user? They
right,
want to build some KPI, they want to build some metrics, right?
right, right,
That is the usage. And for
hmm,
them, we need to make the data warehouse a data mart, right?
hmm,
So we need to understand that. That is the first dilemma that I have. And like then I come to know, okay, we need to build the KPI and like to solve that KPI, we need to build the data warehouse or this data mart, right? And
yeah,
this data mart can solve KPIs and queries and metrics for like maybe 10 metrics, 10 KPIs.
yeah,
It can answer those questions,
right,
right? That is a given 10 KPI. So for that, we need to build the data mart. That
right,
was a very big learning that I come to know. And definitely the challenges are there, right? We need to tell, hey, we build, these are the entities we build, these are the pointers, these are the attributes, right? And that will really solve these KPIs, right?
right,
So when we start from like this, KPIs, KPI number one, right? This is coming from that source,
yeah,
right? And this is the table, this is the column.
yeah,
Okay. And now we need to first we need to map KPIs with the source.
yeah, yeah,
And then we need to start identifying the dimensions and facts out of it. So to
right,
make sure we should grab the data which we are looking for, which will
right,
help to drive the KPI.
hmm,
This mapping we need to build, metrics we need to build, right? And then we'll start building dimensions and entities and continuously integrating and aligning the business people or who are having the domain knowledge, who exactly the user of those data warehouse or having the knowledge on KPIs and metrics, right? We need to align them
yeah,
every time, right? So that was a understanding their language, right? The domain language. That was very, you should have that domain knowledge to understand them and then align them in the data engineering thing and then building a data model. So that was a challenging task. So connecting on daily basis, bi-weekly and aligning everything that was very much needed. And as a data engineer, I would say this is must. It's at the core of a data engineering, I would
yeah,
say. This
yeah,
data warehousing, dimensional modeling, should be at the core. Because
right,
if you don't know what you are building, right? Even if you have written the code to build, to load the data from A location to B, which is a data mart, which is a dimension or a fact, you don't know where you're loading, right? And why you are doing it. So that is of no meaning, I feel like. And
right,
most of the people are doing it, right? They're not aware that what exactly it is, right?
right. And I think knowing the real need for this. I mean, that's why we call data
Yeah,
warehouse as a source of truth. I mean,
yeah,
that in case of a machine failure, that food get in that entire pipeline, that efforts, that labor gets wasted, and your metric, if it is giving wrong numbers, it's going to get to wrong decisions, and the wrong decisions is going to
correct.
get to dollars wasted, right? So unless you are empathizing with that end user needs, right, whatever
Yeah,
you build is just some fancy tech, right? Maybe some,
Yeah,
you may be the best SQL developer of the world or Python or Spark developer of the world, but what you produce, if it doesn't get consumed in the right way, it's loss for the business, right? So I think
agree.
all these skills and tech kind of comes together in a way. If solves the business problem, all good. If it doesn't, it's I mean it's of no use, right? So I think that's the crux of it, and I think every data engineer who feels like, okay, I'm working on a very complex tech. If you just add the layer of business understanding and empathy for the business, I think you
Yeah,
can evolve from just being a techie to being a full stack professional who can
yeah,
really add value for the business, right?
yeah. Techie plus domain expert. Yeah,
Yes, awesome. Uh, I think we had a very interesting conversation, and you talked about that you are also a mentor, and you kind of mentor people in either getting their career started or like whatever problems they might be facing. So, if
yeah,
you could give some inputs from your experience, I mean, you have evolved from a techie to somebody who's a techno-functional guy, and today you are
yeah, yeah.
serving customers from the front end. What are some of the inputs or advice you would be giving for people, and especially in this turbulent times where people are kind of losing jobs and people are also kind of getting impacted with Gen AI in a very bad way? So, what
Hmm.
are your suggestions to build a resilient data engineering career?
Okay, cool. So I would say make sure your core should be strengthened, right? So what is a core? So core is like SQL, your Python, your Spark, your data warehousing. These four are the core pillar of, I would say, the data for data engineering, right? If you have built this, then no one can beat you. Because ultimately, if you are thinking that AI will replace you, right? But that is not in very near time. It's a very long thing, right?
Yeah.
Because at this point, if we talk about, right, so I know the industry is shifting, but it's not the AI who will replace you, but it's the people who know the AI, they will replace you,
True, true.
right?
That's very,
So,
very,
correct. So you need to first strong your core. Let's say if you are upscaling, right? If you are switching domain, right? Data domain from data analyst to data engineer, right? So far, I have mentored 35 plus data engineers, right? And I know basically they are facing this problem. First of all, they don't know what exactly the domain they should go for. They want to
right.
upscale. They
Yeah,
have heard data engineering, data engineering. Oh, very cool, hot topic, hot role,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So they come and they told I need to move from data analyst to a data engineering role. But I say, yes, you can go ahead, but work on your core topics first, core skill sets first,
Yeah.
right? And then move on to other stuff like cloud, modern cloud computing, right? All these cloud tools. Pick one cloud, right? And go with either Databricks or those processing, data warehousing, or data lake house platforms, right? Either Databricks or Snowflake. One cloud, one of these two, and then you're good to go, right? Make
Yeah.
sure some of the other things like DevOps, Agile, that nobody tells you, right? Is data modeling, right? That some certifications, right? And some of the domain knowledge is very much needed. After core, we can reach out to, we can move to the cloud platforms. We can pick Azure, GCP, or
Yeah.
AWS. And after that, we can pick any of the processing, data lake, or Delta Lake, Lakehouse, or this data warehousing platform, either Snowflake or Databricks. Both are competitors, right?
Yeah.
So we can go for either of them. That's totally fine. And after that, make sure we work on extra these tools, these topics. That is domain, data modeling, and some of the certifications, agile methodologies, right? Those are really needed. Nobody's talk about it, but in actual practical work, agile is the must, right? Being a Scrum, Kanban, right? You should know how to use DevOps, right? GitHub, all those things, repository, CI/CD process. So some of the ETL concepts are also comes into it. So those are the additional thing, but those are also important, right? So this
Right.
is what I feel the quick roadmap for a data engineer who want to become like for the aspiring data engineers, right?
Right, right. And I believe that the crux is to learn continuously. I
Yep.
mean, it's important to come out of that impression that, okay, maybe I completed, say, maybe some course, or maybe I did some capstone project and I know everything. I mean, the moment
Yeah.
you get to your project, actually, your real learning starts from there, because there you do not have a trainer, or you do not have a course or structured course for you. I mean, the world out there is your teacher, right? I mean, the situation where you are in, the inquisitiveness you carry, right? The curiosity you carry in terms of to
Yep.
understand problem, to kind of get into the unknown and ask the questions, ask your way out, is something which will always stay with you. Is something is a very big value add, and especially these are the skills which are not replaceable. I mean, you may be you some tech you have today, that tech may change tomorrow, but the adaptability to tech and the curiosity to learn and to keep asking questions and
Yep.
develop that domain layer is something which can save you from being getting oblivious, right, in today's world, especially, right? So
Yeah. Agree. Agree.
yeah. So thanks, Sudeep. Thanks a lot for joining in and sharing your career journey, so the interesting work you're doing, the challenges you faced, and a very quick career roadmap for data engineers. I'm sure that you're going to flourish at your work, and the mentorship which you're doing is a very noble thing you're doing. I believe people need to hear a lot from real world practitioners like you, that what truly would transform a data engineer's career. Thank you for joining in. Thanks for all your time.
Thank you so much, Amit, and thanks for giving me this opportunity. I really appreciate it. Thank
Thanks a lot.
you.
Thank you. Take care. Bye for now.
Good day. Bye bye.